it's about your neighborhoods. So we've always gone around and around about, are we going to do more traffic calming in neighborhoods or less? And if we do it, are we going to do it at a Cadillac level or a Chevy level? While I was mayor, we did the traffic calming at Skycrest, Morningside. Those particular projects are extremely expensive. Some people liked them, some people do not. I've actually sent out 22,000 surveys. Anyone gotten one? I know some of you have sent it back. I've read them all. We've gotten almost 3,000 back, which is amazing. But traffic calming is one of the issues. Some people still want it, and some people don't. The good thing about traffic calming is it's there all the time. Our police officers who are dynamite, who are here tonight, they can't be in every single neighborhood slowing people down and stopping them at stop signs. So the traffic calming is there 24/7, 365, and they can be out fighting crime. But we have to decide how much we want to spend. It's like anything. We've always said we can do anything you want. It just either means you're going to have to pay more or we're going to have to cut something else. And so that's one of the things that you have to do through a visioning process is figure out what really matters to citizens. Where are your priorities? Is it traffic calming? Is it slowing traffic down in neighborhoods? The other problem is if we could get our roads to work better, so I will talk a little bit about our main roads. We have what's called an intelligent transportation system. It's not very intelligent, and it pushes traffic into your neighborhoods, and we need to fix it.
Let me start by addressing the traffic congestion on Major Route 60 in Belcher. That's a county intersection and a state intersection, and to my knowledge, it is the only intersection in the entire county that has not been improved over the history of that intersection. There is a proposal to implement what's called Michigan left turns there, but it's not going to be implemented for 4 or 5 years, and that is a major choke point on that road. Let me go back to what I think the original intent of the question was traffic in neighborhoods. And it goes back to some of the decisions that were made during the recession, which said, according to the city manager, that we would implement, or the city would implement, cheap traffic calming methods, which is a speed bump. A speed bump is a jarring experience. A traffic calming with some of the bulb outs and some of the little islands in the center makes it look like there's an improvement in the neighborhood. So appropriate traffic calming can actually improve the neighborhood. Inappropriate traffic calming can degrade the neighborhood. And back in 1999, when this thing started, there were choices that they consulted with the neighborhoods and decided what the neighborhoods would like to see. I think Skycrest did that at that time. So that's what I would like to do. I would like to go back and fund some neighborhood traffic calming, some real neighborhood traffic calming. Thank you.
Okay, Elizabeth, you're next up. And the question is, what do you know about the 5 largest non-government employees in the city of Clearwater? How will you help ensure that those firms, as well as other firms, choose to stay and grow in Clearwater?
I had to do some research for this one. Baycare, obviously, I knew was a big employer. Know before, the cybersecurity firm. Instrument Transformers, an electrical contractor. Lincare, that makes ventilators. And Directions for Living, the counseling company. I heard others answer this question in other forums, giving answers like Tech Data and Honeywell that are not in the city limits. So I was a little confused by that. But these small companies, small as they are, employ a lot of people. And to retain companies, I think there are a number of things you need to do, but most importantly, we need things like great parks, a great looking city, waste and chemical reduction, improved transit. And there are other transit options other than bus and trolley. There are ride share services that we could be taking advantage of, because a lot of people I've spoken to, and even my neighbors, don't have cars, they need to get to work, and they can't get to work in another part of the city from countryside currently. So that's very important. We need cultural opportunities for younger people. If we want younger people to move here, we need things like clubs and comedy venues and places that people want to go at night that we really don't have now. So I think we need to look to attract in those. And there are also many changes we need to make, like reduction of plastics and pesticides that the state currently doesn't allow us to make, that I think contributes to the health of our community and that younger people want. And if the state is not allowing something, our city leaders need to go to the state and say, you're hamstringing us, we need to change the policies, we need to change the laws. It's not enough just to say, we can't do it. We have to fight for it.
Well, Morton Plant's always been our biggest employer, followed by Baycare now, but also Frank Crum, Heritage Insurance, AmeriLife, Marine Max. Those are our biggest ones that literally are in the corporate limits of the city. I know most of the CEOs of those companies, so I have talked to them. We used to have an award that we went around and actually thanked businesses and companies for being in our city and asking them what we could do as a city to help them, to help their employees, to make this a hospitable place to do business. Something that alarms me a little bit, well, it alarms me in the entire country, that everybody is at each other's throats, but we seem to have this competition between neighborhoods and our business community and our tourist industry. And I will tell you, we need all three of those to be working together and prospering. A lot of them want the same things. Businesses want good quality of life. They want a safe city for their employees. They want good transportation. These are all things that all of us want. They want efficient government. They want government that has rules, but they also want government to help them through a process and make certain that the process is fair. I feel fortunate that I know a lot of these CEOs and get an opportunity to talk to them. I think that's one of the reasons that the Chamber has endorsed me. But I will continue to work with them and try to get them to grow here. I want them to be mentoring in our schools. That's one of the things that I am committed to going and doing. And as I said, I've already talked to our superintendent of schools, Dr. Greco, to get this program working. So the neighborhoods, tourism, and businesses can all be moving in the same direction.
Well, I think each of us has found different major corporations, and I don't know if the question was really to address who did the best research. One of the companies that I thought was most interesting is Verifone, who is a credit card payer processing firm that as you go around the retailers, they process your credit cards. The others, yes, Baycare and Instrument Transformers are No4 is a wonderful company that is growing up from nothing in the last 10 years to, I don't know what it has now, probably close to 900 employees. And they are a cybersecurity company. They're located in downtown. They have sucked up a lot of the empty office space in downtown, and they have a lot of people there. And if you have a Cyber Olympics in Station Square, it's great to see them all competing. As far as keeping people here, I go back to my priority of municipal excellence. Municipal excellence means you're doing everything the way it should be done, and you don't have disappointed customers. We are essentially a retail business in that we're serving customers. Our customers just happen to be the residents and businesses in Clearwater. But to implement those in a good way, to get feedback, one of the biggest problems we have that I hear about is in the planning and zoning department, the building inspection. And I want to bring in the Florida Sterling Council to review that process and get feedback on that. So those are my suggestions for how we grow and keep business.
That's agree. The top 5 businesses, well, the ones that are addressed here are the ones that have the most people that live here. It's kind of a trick question here, but I can list them all off: tech, Morton plant, daycare, care. Realistically, what we have to do is make this a stronger community for their families, so their families want to stay here. They'll want to stay if we make this a better community. We focus on ourselves, we focus on making our parks better, we focus on making our infrastructure better. We don't want to run into problems with our water system. Like Flint, Michigan, we want to focus on what is under our feet, what keeps everything flowing. We need to focus on what keeps these businesses here financially. We need to be very inviting to big businesses to set up, but we also need to be inviting for small businesses to grow. Some of these businesses started right here and they grew from Clearwater. They grew from our people in our town, and that's what we want more of. We want Clearwater to grow, but we want it to grow as a whole for our families and basically get our flavor back. There's a lot of stuff we could be doing for these businesses, but there's a lot we could be doing for the small businesses and giving them opportunities to grow and flourish and their families to be here and make Clearwater a stronger place for all of us. Again, I think Clearwater should be the #1 place to raise a family. I think that's very important. I know we do have a big retirement age here, but they have families too, and I'm sure their families want to be here. And it's not a very affordable place for people to start off. Affordable housing is a big way to help get startup companies here and bigger companies to grow their employees. So that's what I got.
Okay, Frank, you're up next. And the question is, what benefits will the average Clearwater resident obtain from a $79 million investment in Spectrum Field and a $30 million investment in a Coachman Park amphitheater?
So, how many of you have been married 40 years or more? 50? 60? Okay, nobody over 60. We've been in a marriage with the Phillies for 73 years. And we are up for a renewal on that contract. This is not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. There are a lot of components to the improvements that they want made at Spectrum Field, and some of those can be paid for by government, some of them cannot. There really are 3 public groups that are going to be contributing to the number Joanna mentioned, which is the number that if the Phillies got everything they wanted, it would be $79 million. Well, my parents used to tell me you don't get everything you want, right? But we will negotiate. So part of the money will come from the state. There is $12.5 million sitting there from the state that is specifically earmarked for spring training throughout the state of Florida. The other ask is to the TDC, which is the Tourist Development Council, which is a county-wide agency that is funded completely from bed taxes, mainly paid by our tourists that come and visit here. Clearwater, by the way, is the largest producer of bed tax with Clearwater Beach. The ask to them has been $40 million. And then the ask of the city is $15 million for Spectrum Field for a 20-year extension on the contract. I think that there are negotiations to be had, but I am not willing to throw away a 73-year marriage that we've had with the Phillies. First, I want to negotiate.
I'm not going to repeat all those numbers. The relationship with the Phillies and Spectrum Field is a city field opportunity. It needs to be kept up, it needs to be maintained. It's always good to make improvements to that kind of a facility. I don't expect the Phillies are going to leave. I think they have also been a great partner in participating in past improvements there. The one that you have to look at, though, is just kind of the optics of building a dormitory for major league players that are possibly affordable housing for baseball players that are coming from other areas. And I can't get my head around saying that that's a municipal purpose. So if they want to build that facility for themselves, I think I probably would go along with that. But the city funding should go to municipal purposes. I think that the field itself is a municipal purpose. And the tourist development tax, if it really brings in tourists, then the folks that administer that fund can spend their money. But there are a lot of other reasons to spend that money on the improvements for tourists in this town. One, for instance, would be a free Jolly Trolley up and down the beach. And that would enhance our tourists, and it would probably enhance the life of regular folks too. So, thank you.
To be correct, this question was about the amphitheater and.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll start with coaching and parking in the amphitheater. Right now, they're talking about $64 million, and it's growing every time. The next 30% rollout, who knows? We usually seem to add about $10 million every time we mention that park. So I disagree with the amphitheaters. I think we had a great band shell. It might be time to update the band shell, maybe change the direction of the band shell. But as far as building something that big for venues that aren't going to bring us all down there. I mean, if you're going to go to 40 venues, good for you. I have 4 kids. That's an expensive place to go when you put covered seats there. We're talking normal concert prices at the amphitheater in Tampa. I don't really need that in my park. I don't think any of us really do. I think we can drive to the amphitheater if we want to. Spectrum Field. Let's see. All right, we got time. All right. Spectrum Field. We have a team that pays their players millions and millions of dollars. We've been together as a partner for 73 years. The TDC does fund a big part of that. And if they want to fund a bigger part, that's good. If there's a sign right out front there, I noticed one night walking by, because I live over by there, it says #1 spring training field. And we're asking to redo it, or we're asking to build dorm rooms that take away from our local money that we're making, the hotels where these players stay. I don't think that's a good idea. I think renegotiating, getting them to put a little more on the table is a better idea. And we can look at that and we can face it when it comes. We're not even there yet, but we do have to think how long it takes to get anything done in the city. We need to start working on it now.
Regarding Spectrum Field, I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and everyone in Philadelphia knows Clearwater. Having spring training sets us apart. It's a point of pride for the residents. That said, the Phillies are a gazillion-dollar organization. That they're paying $10 million out of this total bill plus cost overruns to get these renovations that are solely for them. They're not for upgrading the fan experience. I think it's absurd, and they need to be paying way more money. The tickets to spring training are expensive. They're prohibited for a lot of residents. To take your whole family is not affordable for most people, and I don't think we need to have that kind of corporate welfare. I think the tourist development money can go to buying land to establish wildlife sanctuaries on the beach that would bring tourists and residents and benefit our environment in numerous ways. So that's my feeling on Spectrum Field. As far as the amphitheater, I resent that Imagine Clearwater held numerous public meetings. There was hours and hours hours of discussion about what this plan would be, and after it was put to a vote by the residents, this $40 million amphitheater was shoved down our throats. I don't want that, most people don't want that, but then it's all that. That residents can go to. This is gonna be noisy, it's gonna bring traffic, it's gonna be expensive for most people, too expensive for most people, and that is not what we voted for, so I am opposed.
Okay, Bill, you're next. This one is from the audience. Will you make it a priority to increase the funding to support the upgrading of our infrastructure, including pipes, electrical, sewer, stormwater? Will you be proactive or reactive?
Well, you want to be proactive and you don't want things to break. And for a while, things were breaking. They weren't breaking like they were breaking down in St. Petersburg and St. Pete Beach. But when I was on the council, I pushed really hard to get a couple of these sewer overflows fixed before they happened again. That said, Clearwater, I think, is in pretty good shape from our sewer and water infrastructure. They are funded by enterprise funds. Enterprise funds are paid for by the rates that people pay into them. So that's not, conceivably you could move money from the general fund over to the enterprise funds, but generally you don't do that. And periodically we go through and adjust those rates so that it does pay for the infrastructure. And I think our infrastructure is in pretty good shape right now. Clearwater has started years ago by the stormwater fees and setting those aside, and we have done a lot of flood control projects within the city. Obviously, you have to set a priority for them. We have some real concerns if sea level does rise and how that's going to impact our infrastructure. We have to think real hard about how we would pay for that. The initial thing that would happen is probably infiltration into our sanitary sewers, and then we have to basically process salt water that seeps through the ground. So we need to be thinking ahead. Thank you.
Yes, we need to prioritize our money to work on our infrastructure. I don't know if anyone knows this, but during Hurricane Irma, we were potentially looking at over 10 feet of sea rise. Do you guys know that would shut down one of the main plants for raw sewage and water? Would have backed up in probably all of our houses in the mainland. Who knows, the guys on the beach, you might have run downhill and ended up at their house too. So it's still in the same location. The control pits, they actually had a pullout plan. They were there until the water rose till they had to leave. That's a problem with infrastructure. We can't be waiting to get hit. We have to be proactive. We have to get ahead of it. Yes, we need to address our pipes. I live in the city of Clearwater. I am still on the county water line. My neighborhood annexed in 1997. There's a problem there. My water tastes like chlorine. It's not Clearwater's water, but Clearwater uses about 40% of the water from the county. We have, everyone should be getting fresh water. We should all be a part of Clearwater's water. They actually have really high standards for water. I know the director of water. I watched him drink from the tap, so I trust his science. I think we need to work harder to get better water to all of us. We need to worry about what is going to happen when things go bad. Another hurricane, I think it was from might have been Stevenson Creek, the waste treatment plant there. It broke, it overfilled, it backwashed into Stevenson Creek. And the funny thing is no one looked at it that bad because St. Pete had a much bigger leak. But that's where it starts. We can't just let things leak. We can't let things break. We have to be proactive to get ahead of it. We have to make sure that our infrastructure is the best, because this is where we live, this is where we eat, we breathe. None of us want to have to evacuate for a raw sewage spill. And I think, yes, prioritize infrastructure spending, yes, big matter.
Sure. Will you make it a priority to increase the funding to support the upgrading of our infrastructure, including pipes, electrical, sewer, stormwater? Will you be proactive or reactive?
Okay, yes, that is one of the main functions of city government, is to make sure the infrastructure is reliable and serves us well. We approved years ago a toilet to tap program. We were going to be the second people in the country to take wastewater and pump it back into the aquifer and treat it and drink it. And I think that's a disgusting idea, and I think there are numerous scientific and health concerns with that, and I oppose it. The only reason it hasn't happened yet is because it's become more expensive. There was a pilot program, so it's not online yet, but it's coming. I am opposed to that. And the reason we need to do that is because we have too many people, we're overdeveloped, and the water resources of our peninsula cannot sustain the amount of development we're asking from them. So we need to put the brakes on. It is not necessary to grow and grow. It is not possible. We need to know when we've reached our limit. In terms of infrastructure, generally, sea level rise. It is coming. It's coming, it's in South Florida, the sewage is coming up through the bathtubs, the streets are flooded on sunny days, and we are next. And if we think we're going to avoid that, we are fooling ourselves. We're looking at raising roads and bridges and fire stations and pumping the sewers out with water. We're looking at seawater contaminating our fresh water. This is going to be a bill in the billions. And the reason we have made this problem worse is because we built up the beaches. And I have been opposed to building up the beaches for years. I've spoken out against it, been ignored. So we're going to be paying, you and I, the taxpayers, this huge bill coming down the road, and that's something we better be ready for.
Well, you should take comfort in the fact that Clearwater's infrastructure really is very strong. We have had a program over the years that has put expiration dates on almost every component of the system to make certain that we are ahead of the process. Infrastructure isn't sexy until it doesn't work, and then it's really sexy. You want to turn on the water and have clean, safe water, and you want to be able to flush your toilet. You want to be able to be on reasonable roads, sidewalks that are safe. That's all infrastructure. The city is a service organization. We deliver services to you. 62% of the budget goes to the people who give you those services. The rest of it goes to the infrastructure. So we don't want to overbuild the infrastructure because ultimately you're going to be paying that on a monthly basis. And one of the important things is continuing to keep the city affordable. But we also want to keep up with it so it doesn't surprise us. We did a lot of stormwater projects while I was in office. The Glen Oaks Park, you see the two soccer fields, but what that really is a stormwater project. And what it did is retain water, it cleanses the water before it goes down into Stevenson's Creek and eventually into the bay. The same was with Kapok Park, which is off McMullen Booth. Many of you probably haven't seen it unless you've been on the East-West Trail, and it's a really dynamite place to cross through. But we took a mobile home park there and took hundreds of homes out of the floodplain because back in the 40s and 50s, developers did not have to retain their stormwater. So we're paying that price for properties that come all the way from Largo along kind of that Missouri to Keene corridor, but feel good about the infrastructure in Clearwater. We just need to continue to invest at a reasonable rate.
Okay, Morton, you're next. And the question is, what is the current status of Clearwater's Complete Street projects? And how would you prioritize those projects? And what will you do to ensure these projects are completed before December 31st, 2023?
Okay, I had to do a little It started downtown for Fort Harrison, and it's expanded throughout the city. But what I would do is we need to look at, first, public safety. We have to make sure we're not affecting traffic flow. Yes, we need our pedestrians safe. We also need our cars safe. We need our traffic lights safe, our intersections safe. I don't want to restrict the flow of traffic, but I also understand, yes, I have kids here. They got to ride their bikes down here. We have tons of cars. So yes, we do need to focus on getting it done. As far as meeting the deadline, it wasn't really clear where we're at, but I know we're working on it. So that deadline is something we need to go after, but it's a lot of other issues in Clearwater also need to be gone after.
The idea of complete streets is to make streets safer for a variety of transportation, not just cars, but buses, bikes, walking, and they're really important improvements to cities. So there are two that are going on now in the city. There's one on Drew Street, which has been a problem for quite a while. They hired, a consultant was hired. The Florida Department of Transportation has developed an action plan. They're going to be reducing lanes. They're going to be putting in left turn bays, sidewalks, crosswalks, new traffic signals. In February, a scope of work is due, and then the consultant will be hired to construct that. Fort Harrison is the second complete street area. Consultant was hired. There was a grant obtained. Project visioning is going on, which involves public input to see what the project should look like. And I believe they're combining that with some replacement of utility work so that they can dig up the streets once and do a variety of improvements at the same time, which is obviously makes sense. How to accomplish it by a certain date, set an implementation schedule, and stick to it. Thank you.
So the Complete Streets is trying to get pedestrians, bicycles, cars, buses to all be able to be compatible. I've always been for that. We used to call them only modal. We talk about different names. We come along with a new moniker every 5 or 10 years for what it really means. Drew is next. My only concern is, and in government, I think one of the things that you always are concerned about is unintended consequences. And there is almost always unintended consequences. And why they are is because people haven't thought about them. And you find out about them later and you say, well, I wish we'd done this a little differently. I'll give you an example. Fort Harrison was changed from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. A through lane each direction and a turn lane. It has pushed